All right. So welcome everyone to Email Marketing Essentials for Business. You're going to find out how important email marketing is in the marketing mix, like the most important perhaps. So maybe I'll convince you by the end of the class. We'll see. See if there's any skeptics in the room right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. First, we always start off with all the great things that SCORE does. Obviously, you all know about SCORE because you managed to show up here, signed up for the classes. So, but we always want to share and reiterate in case there's anybody new in the room that doesn't know everything that SCORE has to offer. So 200 chapters nationwide celebrating 60th anniversary, over 10,000 both active and retired entrepreneurs and executives. It started out as, if you don't know the acronym, Service Corps of Retired Executives, but they really don't focus on that because a lot of us are active entrepreneurs and executives. But it was just started by a couple of retired executives back at 60 years ago. Still doing great things for businesses, basically helping you at any stage of your business. Have a great new business idea and want to learn how to start a business, scale a business, grow it, maybe at some point sell your business if you're at that point. So every stage of your business, or hopefully, creating some great success stories. One-on-one counseling or mentoring, as they call it, no charge to you, at all different parts of your business, financial, marketing, how to start a business, maybe manufacturing, franchising, a little bit of the financial stuff, not personal financial advice and no free legal advice, but everything else to do with your business. There's probably a mentor for that. So all these great business workshops like you're attending today, webinars, maybe some are also in person in some local chapters. Lots of great free resources out there on all of the websites. So definitely check out your local website. You can just go to score.org and find a lot of great on-demand webinar content. All the chapters have great webinar content out there. A little bit, some the same, a little bit different. There's a lot of resource sharing going on these days with SCORE. But check out the websites. A lot of great things you can download, like how to do a business plan, all that. Here are some of the topics you'll find, just a small smattering of topics you'll find in some of the workshops. But all the chapters set their own calendar. So, shop around, so to speak. You can definitely attend webinars anywhere in the country. And if you are, this is being hosted today by Pasco Hernando, Florida chapter. And you can, if you are local to that chapter, you could visit their direct website, or if you don't know your local website's address, just go to score.org to find your local chapter and visit it there. So that is SCORE. And for those of you that don't know me or haven't met me or been in one of my classes yet, I have been, as you see here, in the online space for 100 years, at least, since the internet dinosaurs roamed the earth, as I like to say. I'm just this month celebrating my 20th year in the wine industry. I worked for a winery software company when I was up in Napa, and I was more in the technology marketing. I didn't make wine. I wasn't on that side of it. I was not in the dirt to bottle side. I was in the glass to bottle to glass side. But I do work with all types of businesses directly, business to consumer and business to business consultants, coaches, restaurants, nonprofits, a little bit of each, as you can see here. I do teach for SCORE chapters across the country. So I'm in Los Angeles, and I also am on the workshop and marketing committee for SCORE LA, but I do teach for a dozen or so SCORE chapters and SCORE National, as well as local business source centers, chambers, trade groups, and sometimes private organizations bring me in as well. I serve currently, I'm the past president of NAWBO Los Angeles, the National Association of Women Business Owners. I currently serve as the membership director. And I also am a member of my local Venice Chamber of Commerce. Someone said they're from Venice, Florida. I'm in Venice, California, and I'm on the local chamber there. So that is me. So let's talk about you. So I want you to share in the chat. What does your business do? Put it all in one chat message, please, so I can kind of keep track of it. What does your business do? Do you have a current email list, or currently have a list? I don't know if it's current or not. Just say yes or no. If yes, do you email regularly at all? You could say kinda, maybe, yes, no. Which email platform do you use if you want to share it? Like to know what the different use platforms are out there that people are using these days. And then why are you here? Obviously to learn about email, but are you having an email challenge? Anything particular? Just share what you want. Love to know who's in the room, what type of business. So share away. And also, if you want to take the opportunity, let me see, what's the number in the room currently? We have 79, I'm assuming mostly all business owners in the room. You never know if they could be customers as well. So feel free to network in the chat. So share any of your business and information. Pretend you're handing out your business cards, your website address, your LinkedIn, your whatever you want to share. No personal information, no social security numbers or blood types or home addresses. Just people in the room could be customers or collaborators. So I always give people a chance to network. And this chat file will be saved and you'll get that to be able to connect with people afterwards. So we have landscape lighting, no list, Outlook. Okay, Outlook. Okay. We definitely need to talk about that. Why you shouldn't be using Outlook to send mail other than your business mail. Distributor of alcohol brands. All right. Okay. We have a little alcohol thing in common there. You guys are coming in fast and furious. Have an email list, email regularly. Oh, that's somebody else. Okay, keep typing. I'm trying to hold online notary. Do not have a list. You're making me think you need one. Yes. Durable medical equipment, no current list. Want to learn how to reach my local demographic. Perfect. Real estate advisor, Venice, Florida. Definitely have a list and email regularly. Like to see better response. Okay. Starting a grassroots nonprofit network. We created an email list. Perfect. Read a few. Okay, back to the alcohol. We have an email database. I do not email regularly. I'm here to improve our marketing. All right. Well, that's perfect thing. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm going to keep going. Kind of to see who's in the room. Mental health therapist, financial counselor. I sell books I have written. Do not have an email list. Perfect. Okay. So thank you everyone for sharing. Keep sharing. And then definitely network. There's people in the room. Like I said, you never know who's in the room to do business or collaborate with. So paid, owned, earned media. I have this backwards here, but we call it POEM, paid, owned, earned media. Where in the space, what is this? What is all this stuff going on here with advertising and marketing, right? Where should you go? Where should you spend your time and money? You all should be in the owned media space. Obviously, that's you don't own the platforms, you don't own the websites, the social media platforms, but you own the content. You decide what you want to have on your website, what products or services you sell, what kind of blog content you have, your social media content, your email newsletters or emails, or say it's not only newsletters. So all of that should be right and tight to begin with, right? We should all have our content straight. We should all, get in on emails. We're talking today, social media, etc. Paid media, this was obviously optional, but definitely helps expand your reach. Social media ads, pay-per-click, influencers you pay for, banner ads. And there's also offline, of course, you could do billboards and radio and television and newspaper, but I'm just talking, say, digital media at this point. Earned media, and some of these cross over because you might pay for earned media, right? And you might pay for some things on the owned media. Mentions in third-party sites, organic media coverage, social media shout outs, reviews, testimonials, PR, I left that one off the slide. Public relations, you earn to get placement from in media, but you might pay a publicist to do that. So it's they do cross over a little bit. You pay SEO, high spots in search engine results. So you might pay somebody to help you with SEO to earn you those top spots on search engine results pages. All right. So where do you go? What do you do? Where should you spend your time and money? I'm assuming that's why you're all here to learn that, and specifically email marketing today. Right. So I call this my drop the mic slide. I can just give you this stat and drop the mic and walk away, but I'll go ahead and finish anyways. I'll give you a few more slides after this one, but this is where I want you guys to remember why you should have an email list. This is the best return on investment of any marketing platform out there. Average for every $1 spent on email marketing is an average of a $40 return on investment. So if you think email's dead, nobody wants emails, you hate emails, let's reverse that whole mind thinking there, right? That's bad thinking. Compared to, I don't have social media on here, I keep forgetting to add it on this slide, about half. For social media ads and just doing social media in general. Text marketing, which is fairly new in the space compared to social media, about $11. Your banner ads, your SEO, you can see here half. Banner ads about $2. Keywords, keyword ads, $17. Nothing touches this. All right. And this has been this way for years. Direct Marketing Association has been reporting this at $36 to $44. It kind of bounces up and down. But so I hopefully, if you say you have a list, you're growing, that this convinces you, hopefully. We'll have some more things hopefully to convince you if you don't have a list, or if you're spending more time on social media and you're like, I don't know my list. Maybe this will help reverse that thinking. I'm not saying don't do social media. Okay, so very important. Shout out to the world, right? How important it is. And I always hear this all the time. Oh, I don't want to annoy my customers with emails. And I ask, why are you in business if you don't want to reach out to your customers? If they sign up for your list, they want to hear from you, right? And there's, it says, well, how often, how much? We'll talk about that down the road here. But how important it is, given that ROI, you should be sending emails, and probably more frequent basis than you think, right? I say probably, you say you don't want to annoy your customers. Most of you are probably not even slightly irritating yet, right? So let's be like Oprah. Everybody gets an email, okay? So we'll talk more about the frequency and all of that later, but want to make sure you all understand how important it is, okay? And also just forgot to mention, we do have Q&A and chat here today. If you have any specific questions, please put them in the Q&A. This way I can sort them out from all the chattery, networking, all the stuff going on in the chat box. So any specific questions you want me to address while we're going along, please put those in the Q&A. If you already did put a question in here, just if you can pop it over to the Q&A. I think everybody's is still sharing. And if you just come into the space here, we're just sharing in the chat what type of business you have. If you have an email list, just say yes, no. Are you using it? If you are, do you have a list? And if you have any email challenges, and at what platform you want to share. So share as much as you want. And also we said network in the room, share your LinkedIn, and I'm going to talk about, hopefully I kept that in here. I'm going to segue for a second over to LinkedIn. So you probably don't want to share your LinkedIn information as well after I do talk about it. Are others able to share the chat? Say the chat. You should have it, the 3 little dots at the bottom. If it doesn't, that's okay, because when you get the recording, it has the transcript and the chat file along on the side of the recording. So if you weren't, so share away, don't worry about having to click on everybody's link. If anybody's sharing, I only see maybe 1 or 2 people sharing so far, that'll be saved for you. So don't worry about not being able to save the chat. So top 10 email marketing mistakes. These are mine, not in the world in general, but they probably fit, pretty standard. No plan in place, right? You don't have any plan in general. You don't have a marketing plan in place. If, everybody's attended my marketing plan 101 class, important is to set your goals, know exactly who your audience is. Most important, I say that step is a lot of people don't understand who their ideal clients are. So they're speaking to the wrong audience, their messaging, their branding, everything is going to the wrong audience. So that's tighten that down, right? And then having all of that branding, messaging, everything in place. So having a solid plan. Assuming your customers don't want email, right? Don't, what they say about assuming. They do want to hear from you more often than you think if they've signed up for your list, okay? And they do want your emails. Not collecting emails wherever you can. Very important. So I would say ABC, always be collecting, right? Wherever else, we'll talk about collection points there. Not being consistent all year, right? So holidays are coming up. If anybody is kind of 4th quarter driven holiday sales, by the end of this month, you should have your holiday plan in place. Seriously, folks, end of this month, if you're 4th quarter, not the end of October, end of this month coming up, plan of far ahead for your email, your social media, whatever marketing you're going to be doing, advertising. No calls to action in your email. So having a button, having an action for them to do something, whether it's to buy something, go download something, go see your website, whatever that is, taking them someplace with it, go to visit your blog on your website. Using your personal email account or using a freemium email. It's 2 separate things and will sound the same. So meaning using your personal email, like someone said, oh, I send all my promotional campaign emails through my Outlook or my Gmail, or I use Apple Mail. Oops, sorry about that. That's wrong. Shouldn't be sending campaign emails through your Outlook. You should use an email platform. You need to have an unsubscribe. There are canned spam rules. You need to have an unsubscribe. There's no tracking. You don't get open rates, click rates if you're sending things through your Outlook. So given the importance of this particular platform, that ROI, don't be cheap and look, well, I can just send through my Outlook. I don't have to pay for a platform. You need to. There are reasons as well, definitely for spam rules. Using a freemium email. So you're using your Gmail account, your Yahoo, AOL, whatever, the free Hotmail. There are technical reasons, especially on the platforms, you can't authenticate a freemium. I think it just is not very professional. If you have a domain, you should be using, but buy a domain email. It's like $5 a month. I get mine through GoDaddy, $5 a month. They host my domain as well. So use a domain account because you own it, nobody else can access it. And of course, for authentication purposes, you do need to have a domain email address for that. And then well, I'll talk more about all that technical stuff later. Not using automation. So there are different types of automations. Welcome email series, abandoned carts considered an automation, or browse abandon, anniversaries. There's a lot of loyalty programs, things like that. So a lot of automations that you can do. Of course, using an email platform, not your Outlook, right? Not looking at statistics. So knowing to look under the hood, all of your statistics, not just your email, social media, your website. What's going on? All right, are you anything happening? Do you need to optimize, change anything? Right, so looking at the statistics to see if you need to adjust anything and make sure it's working. Right, I don't think any of us are doing it for a hobby or just for fun. You know, even nonprofits need to make some money. I know I'd like to get a few coins now and then, so to speak. Not segmenting. So if you have a list, some of you might not have a list, there's nothing to segment. But if you have maybe different types of products or services and you maybe want to segment, hyper segmenting is always, or hyper targeting, just like advertising, is always more effective if you have different messages potentially, right? And then thinking everybody can do your email marketing, right? We all, like I said, we all know we send emails all day. Campaign or promotional emails might be different. All the platforms are easy to do. So I don't think it's not a matter of like someone can't figure out how to use a platform. It's just having the skill set. And I share this a lot. This happens more probably with social media, is that a lot of business owners don't take social media or marketing as seriously as they do other parts of their business. I hear this all the time. Oh, my daughter's great on Instagram. I'll just have her do the social media, or my kid's great on YouTube. I'll have him create some stuff. So far, I haven't heard too much about email marketing, but I just want to say in general, you know, just because your daughter might be great with people, you wouldn't make her your HR manager, most likely, right? Or she gets straight A's in math, so you're going to make her your business accountant. Probably not, right? So I implore you to take your marketing just as seriously. Let your kids finish school. And this is real stories here. I'm not making this up. Somebody wanted me to train their 11-year-old son how to use Canva so he could do the social media for their business. I'm like, let him finish. Is that elementary or middle school he's still in? Give him a few years before he takes over the family business and does that. But still, you know, take it just as seriously as you would any other part of your business and hire professionals. And given the email marketing importance, you want to make sure somebody understands email marketing strategy and not just like, okay, they know how to use MailChimp, so let them slap something out there, right? So should have a good, strong email strategy across the board. Perfect. Okay. Okay, no problem. You have to go. You'll definitely get the recording, so no problem. And let's see, how can a business have metrics of a business email without an email platform? Yeah. So without any, yeah, I don't know if you're just seriously asking a question, or if you're just making a comment like, yeah, how could they? Right? You can't, right? You're not going to get anything but your undeliverables, right? If it bounces back, you're not going to get any open rates, click rates, or conversions potentially if you're sending them through your Outlook account. So I will share, somebody asked, do you have a link for Marketing 101? When we share the assets for this class, I will share. I do have a YouTube channel. I don't have the link, but if you search Golden State Marketing on YouTube, you'll find my new channel with my previously recorded classes. So you can find the Marketing Plan 101 there as well. So yeah, let's take it seriously. Let's make sure that we have a good plan in place for email marketing and social, right? And we'll all talk about, Kim asked about Constant Contact. I will talk about the different platforms shortly. So hold that thought. Okay. I use Constant Contact personally, so I have good thoughts about it. So email's not going away, as you see here. As of next year, half the world's population is going to be on email. So we're somewhere in between this 4.3 and 4.6 next year. So we're, you know, Lots of people, lots of emails. I think I have like, an email from every person on email right now, maybe. So I wanted to share, this is very interesting here. Social media, I should have reversed this. Across the board, if you look at the different age groups on social, you can see it, spikes in this zillennial. It's like more zillennials at this point. And then really drops down for the older market, right? Say 40 to 50 plus. But look at email in comparison across all the age groups, doesn't really drop off. So if your market is, say, that 55 plus, you're better off emailing than they are trying to reach those folks via social media. The youngins, they're out down below, they're doing email, they're a little bit more on social media. Not saying that the old folks, us old folks, I'll include me in that, are not on social media. We are, just not as much as the younger groups. So if you want to reach my 84-year-old father, he does check emails if I keep having to reset his AOL password and remembers it. But social media, not so much. Years ago, we kind of dabbled in Facebook, but you wouldn't reach him there. My mother doesn't really do either right now. But look at the difference, in the age group. So if you're in that sweet spot in the millennial, you're good on either. If you're on the older group, you're probably better off with emails, right? And then this is one of the first things that we do versus social media. We do first thing in the morning. Sorry, my mouse is super sensitive. I'll go back. We first check of the day is email, compared to looking at the news online or your company intranet, social media. Look at the difference, 14% versus 58%. I don't know if people have a question. I see hands being raised. So if you have a actual question, go ahead and put it in the chat, or sorry, the Q&A. So yeah, we're checking emails. I'm just going to read a few of these. You'll get the slides with the rest of them, but obviously millennials, Gen Xers, the smaller groups comprise the larger amount of it overall. 99% of emails users check their inbox every single day. Okay. This is interesting. 56% of people are more likely to open an email if the subject line contains emojis. So that we'll talk about kind of A/B testing down the road too. That you test that out and see if emojis work or make a difference in your open rates. 42% of individuals will look at the sender of the email before deciding to open it or not. Right? We have mere seconds to appeal to you as we open up our email box and scan through the subject line, maybe the preview line, who sent it. Right? So that's important. I'll talk about that. People are making purchases from promotional emails, as it said here, and definitely email marketing will contribute to a business's success if you use it, right? You got to use the list. And here, this is kind of proves it too. 61% of consumers said they would like to receive promotional emails from their favorite brand, if they sign up for your list, on a weekly basis, folks, not once in a while, not quarterly, not whenever you remember to send it, at least on a weekly basis. Okay. And that number it's gone up since 2021. I changed that from, I think, 2017, but it's not much. It hasn't, 62, 63%. So not too old of a stat. Abandoned cart. So if you have a e-commerce site with an abandoned cart feature, sending 3 abandoned cart email results in almost 70% more orders in a single email. Again, the stats haven't changed that dramatically. So there's been no updates on these slides since then. So again, it works. Automation works. Let's see. So what you're going to track when you're talking about emails, like I said, you can't do if you're sending it to your Outlook or Apple Mail or Gmail or whatever. Open rates, click rates, conversion rates. And again, some of us might have a harder time with conversion rates tracking, but open rates, the first thing, right? People get an email and they open it, right? And it's going to be different between, as we drop it from the top to the bottom. Campaigns, when it says campaign, that's your like promotional email. Like, hey, here's my product or service, or hey, even if it's just like, oh, here's my latest blog article, we could consider it called a campaign email, right? Versus more of a transactional email towards the bottom, like your shipping confirmation, order confirmation via welcome. There's going to have higher open rates because generally we place an order, we'll probably want to, let me make sure this order looks right, or open it up to get the tracking number. Right, product abandonment or cart abandonments do get a little bit higher. So generally, about 20% average for campaign emails. Here it shows like 11%, 11 to 22. So for those one-off, some of you might get higher for campaign emails, but generally industry average has been about 20-ish%. And it goes up from there, as I said, calls more transactional emails. Now, one thing that's a little deceptive, I guess you could say, about open rates, right? So you might see, like when you look at stats in your MailChimp or Constant Contact, you'll see somebody opened it 50 times, right? No, I did not open up your email physically 50 times in my box. If I am looking, let's say on my laptop, and I have preview pane open, every time I scroll up and down, it will consider it an open because it kind of does open it again as it goes through the preview. So that's why you see like one person opened it 50 times. So you should look at unique open rates, not the like person opened it 50 times. So that can contribute to a higher number. Click rates would be more accurate because you do physically have to click on something. You can't drive by click. And then one thing, this came up that I have here, then when I was talking about Apple Mail and the release of iOS 15. This happened to me. So I wanted to share in case anybody you'd have to have been emailing regularly to notice this. So Apple, in all their infinite wisdom, I use all Apple products, so I'll go ahead and diss them on this one. Anyways, they decided late last year to protect our privacy by eliminating tracking pixels, the ability for email platforms to have tracking pixels, track who opened emails using the iOS system, using Apple. Why, after all these years of tracking pixels being in existence at Apple, I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes there. So what happened, this was late last year, but as the release of the iOS 15 and people were, updating their software, this hit me in April of this year. So I email every week. Some of you probably on my list, all the time. So I see, and I've been emailing for years. I use Constant Contact, and I know my open rates are always about 30%, which is good. I have a big list, so it's gonna be a big number. So always 31%, never drop, never a problem, nothing changed. And so sending out emails in early April, 30%. And then the next week or week after, 20%. I'm like, what? What happened? Never a change, nothing changed, no email. I didn't change the list, nothing happened. So I talked to Constant Contact and they explained that the iOS software is just kind of hitting as people updating it, and the tracking pixels are causing emails to kind of like make them invisible. Doesn't mean people are not getting them. It just means that there's no tracking. So importantly, would look at the click rates, right? So if my click rates didn't really drop, and they always are different, 1 to 3% click rates on average, and numbers on the right, didn't really change. So if that could have been, if you're emailing regularly, you would have noticed. If you're not emailing on a regular basis, you wouldn't have even thought twice. But it could artificially lower your number if you do have a large percentage of, say, Apple device users in your email list. And of course, you wouldn't know necessarily. Could kind of track it through Google Analytics. But look at the conversion rates, so I didn't really see the conversion, or sorry, not the conversion, the click-through rates. So they're just invisible, but it didn't really affect that people actually were physically clicking on something. And again, the same, sorry, trying to move stuff around the mouse so I can read the pages. Campaign emails, again, that's the same that was on the open rates, 1 to 3% on average. And then it's a little bit higher, obviously, on those transactional. I'm going to click on a tracking number in my tracking shipping confirmation, right? Or look at an order again, or product abandonment. So those are always going to be a little bit higher. Okay. And then conversion rates are a little tricky too. And this is, as someone asked, what email platform is that? So I use Constant Contact. But this is across the board. Any email platform would have the same issue if that's what you were referring to when I was talking about the Apple Mail issue. Anyone would be the same. It's just the way that Apple blocking the tracking pixel now from any of the platforms. So conversion rates, they're still, that means like somebody did an action, whatever, they clicked on something, purchased something, and did the thing that you wanted them to do. What's tricky for some of us that don't have, I do have a shopping cart per se for my coaching services, but I don't like not selling shoes and things like that. Some of you might have an e-commerce platform or maybe sell a service with it. So you might be able to track conversions, but my shopping cart site. I don't use Shopify or any of ones that are integrated with some of the email platforms. I use Kajabi. So it wouldn't necessarily track the shopping cart. But for those that do, you can do abandoned carts, things like that. But for those of us that don't, it's a little bit trickier to track conversions, right? They might go off from the website and then call me and say, hey, I want to do your done for you services. And then, I can ask like, how did you hear about me? And you can do the same as well. So conversion just means that they do the action that you wanted them to do. So you do have to, if you don't have a shopping cart, have to figure out how to track that information. You could with Google, at least Google Analytics, if you put in all your emails, you can do tracking of your emails through Google Analytics, and you can, track it from the time the person gets the email to at least the website. But again, if you don't have, and you can set goals and things like that to track, but if you don't have a conversion for them to do online, you might have to do a manual conversion. So that makes sense. So numbers, definitely track your numbers, very important. Hold on one second. Let me see if there's any I don't have any new questions, as comments. Perfect. Okay. And what do you think? Okay, so perfect. Thank you for everybody. Just making sure I catch everything. So personalized subject lines work, 50% higher open rates. We love seeing our name. We love hearing the sound of our name. I know it sounds a little narcissistic, but we do. So if I saw an email, hey, Patty, check this out, versus, hey, check this out, I might tune into it, visually tune into it more when I see my name. And they know me. It feels more familiar, right? Because you see your name. Just like somebody, we're walking down the street, if somebody shouted out, hey, you, versus, hey, Patty, I'm going to turn around because I hear my voice or hear my name shouted out, right? So definitely collect people's names. So if you can do a personalized subject line as well, or Dear Patty, right, in the email itself. Interactive emails are the way forward, right? Adding video content to emails increases click rates by 300%. Hasn't gone up very much since 2017 data. And this is an interesting one. So in comparison to, we're talking Facebook. Organic reach on Facebook, that means when you just post your own content, you're not doing paid ads. The organic reach is about 1 to 3%. Okay, so that means if you had 1,000 likers on your Facebook page, only about 2% on average are going to see that post on a regular basis. Now with email, 90% 90+% deliverability rate. So 90% of your emails get delivered. The others are going to be the bounces. Maybe there's some technical IP relay delay thing that happened, but generally 90+% get in the box and they have a chance to look at it, right? If they decide to open them up and read them. Compared to the organic social media, especially on Facebook, the chances of people seeing it are a lot lower. That's why it's important to have email out there. And people on the right here, you see, they want to receive more email promotions through email than they do for social media anyways, right? And I see here across the board, this is where they really want to hear from you. It is a little bit lower on the social media than that 38%, but definitely they prefer email versus not so much, phone and website live chat and in person, believe it or not, still on email. And here we go, the stat that we showed you. They want to hear from you at least weekly. That's 61%. You can see your monthly is 85-ish%. Quarterly and annually, they not so much. They want to hear from you more often than that. Okay. So just doing that one quarterly email. And even though it's sitting in the box, they might miss that. They might not read it. They let their inbox. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's at inbox 0. I'm trying to achieve inbox 100,000. Right. 1 million plus served. No, not that bad. But they do want to hear from you. Okay. So which email platform? Somebody mentioned what I think of Constant Contact. Now, I remain software agnostic. I have to say, I'm not going to say any of these are better or worse or whatever. My personal decision on what I use might be different than what your needs are. I call them apples to apples. Whether for me or my own purposes for my marketing or for my clients that I do marketing for and email, I've used quite a few for many years. Constant Contact, Vertical Response, Constant Contact's from 95. So it's been around as long as I've been doing marketing. So I don't know if Vertical Response is even around or not. But yeah, a lot of new ones. And these aren't all of them. I know some of you might use some different. I just grabbed some of the big players out there. Klaviyo's a little newer. MailChimp has been around and a lot of people are familiar with it because they had a pretty generous free account. They've really kind of trimmed it back now because probably since Intuit bought it a few years back, they want to make some money. So the free version is really, really changed. So whichever one you use, you have to make sure it's right for you. Make that decision, right? Is it easy to use? Can you understand how to use it and get emails out? And again, for me, they're kind of apples to apples. I would say the only one on the list that I would probably say don't use because it's horrible is SendGrid. So sorry, SendGrid. Yeah, I used it for the city of Los Angeles, and yeah, it was I was going to say accident error prone, just not user friendly at all. That's the only one I've ever used where I'd be like, I'll cut off my leg if you make me use SendGrid. So so that's how bad it is because I don't want to cut off my leg. Cost. Now I'm gonna jump on my soapbox for a second here. I know as entrepreneurs, right, and starting out, and we have small, low budgets, we like free, we like cheap or free, right? But whatever, if it's email, your social media tools, your ChatGPT, your Canva, all the little tools we need to run our business, if we're trying to not pay for the paid version and trying to use free versions of stuff, we wind up spending more time and money chasing down free than it serves us, right? So I say don't go for a platform just because they have a free trial. Most of them have, well, free trial, yes, like maybe a 30-day free trial. I think Constant Contact still offers a 30-day. MailChimp's free version is very cut back. I think you can only send 500 emails per month, where it used to be you could have 2,000 subscribers and send unlimited emails. Now I think, so if you have a list of 500, you can send 1 email per month. What's the purpose of that, right? And then once you get over that number, you got to start paying. So don't chase down free if it doesn't serve you well, especially with email. Seeing that return on investment that you saw, why would you try to cut, I'm not going to send as many emails because the free version doesn't allow, or they don't have automations, or they don't allow A/B testing on the free version. Don't work around free. These tools are, say, depending on the size of your list, could be $50 a month for an email platform. You could have $20 for ChatGPT to help you, $10, $15 for Canva. So, budget for a couple $100 a month of tools, probably less if you're going to do it yourself. All right. So it's really not that big of a cost compared to that return on investment. So don't chase down free. Get a free trial or something, but don't chase down free if it doesn't serve you well. Do they offer automation features? How sophisticated? Again, some on their basic programs maybe have some limited automation features. So make sure that, again, it serves you well. Do they offer customer support? Now, years gone by when MailChimp and Constant Contact were kind of some of the main players out there, people preferred Constant because you could pick up the phone and talk to them. I think now on MailChimp, they do have some customer support with the paid versions more than they did before. And then do they have any additional features you might like spam testing or platform testing? A lot of I would say all the ones I mentioned before, I would say lower level programs, even on paid, don't have built-in spam testing. The only time I've seen it is when I worked for a credit union and they had Salesforce, and we used their Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and the $3,600 a month program had spam testing. So I paid a little bit more than $50 a month sometimes for that feature. So the email marketing basics. These are my C's, the 5 C's of marketing: collect, calendar, create, consistency, and clean. So we'll talk about what each of these mean. Okay. Let me just see before I start any questions I can answer. Is there more for opt-in emails, or could you use this for initial proposal emails to introduce your business? I'm not sure what that means. So if somebody was wanted to do business with you and you do a proposal is what you're asking for. So yeah, if you're just doing one-off communication, say you do, but you contact me and go, hey, Pat, I want to hire you for marketing, and I send you a proposal, we would go back and forth via our, my private email. And I think that's what you're asking. But if I'm sending out hey, everybody here, join my list, I know I'm going to send you promotional emails, then I would use it through my platform, through Constant Contact. So I'm thinking I'm answering that question, Anonymous. If not, re-ask if I didn't answer that correctly. Yes, and you will get a copy of the slides, the recording, the content calendar I'm going to talk about after the class. That will be emailed to you. I'm going to send that to you once the recording and all that's ready. So watch your emails for that. Okay. Okay, that's all the questions. Keep asking questions in the Q&A and I'll kind of answer them along the way as I see them. Let me see if there's any other questions. Okay, I don't have an opt-in list and email services seem to knock me off because of that. That's an interesting one, Megan. Check that. Yeah, you have to see what that is. You have to be very careful about, I'm going to talk about, hold that thought. I'm going to talk about that under the kind of spam and all of the authentication stuff and why you should, all that. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. It's coming. Okay, collecting. First thing, we have to build an email list, right? Or they won't come if you don't have an email list. They won't get an email. So you should have one on your website. You should have an email newsletter sign up. If you have a storefront, make sure there's a way that you're collecting, whether your POS system or a sign up sheet or an iPad that you can enter it, encourage people to doing events, event ticketing, you can have sign up, social media, you can ask lead magnets, you can create, there's Wi-Fi marketing. Some of that may make sense, some others not. There's always places to collect. If you're doing networking, if somebody hands you a card, ask them though, or email them after like, hey, I met you at the mixer the other night, got your card. Would you like to be on my list about X, Y, and Z? Definitely ask that permission, especially for people that really anybody. But use it as an opportunity here as well. Like I invited everybody to network in this room today, and I think only maybe a couple of you have done that. So and especially I'm going to show you on LinkedIn. There's a way to kind of get emails. So make sure you're sharing your LinkedIn information there. Don't be shy about promoting your business, folks. So where do you collect? So on your website, make sure you have a visible, usable, working sign up newsletter sign up. Okay, best practice here. Now, our site architectures are all going to be a little different. So if able, best way to have it is right at the top, right upper right hand corner if you can. If not, most people kind of shove it at the bottom, second thought, somewhere in the middle. Make sure it's visible and it works. Okay. And on every single page, not just your home page, because not everybody might land on your home page. Okay, every single page you should have a sign up sheet on there. Make it as visible as possible. Have a pop-up, right? Have it's called a mail gate. So have both. Have it embedded. So this is a winery I worked with years ago, and they had an embedded form. I'm going to go forward. This is what they had. They're one of the worst CRMs ever. It's not a winery. I blanked it out of my mind what it is. It's so bad. So they had this embedded form, and the one I just showed you. And I added a pop-up. They use MailChimp, so you can just set up a pop-up form and embedded form. So we added the pop-up. And I think that this is the version we didn't have with the name on it, but we did put the name. And so I waited a few months and said, let's see, if I figured the pop-up would get more of a response because MailChimp will tell you how they signed up, embedded, or you manually added it, or pop-up. It was interesting. It was about half. It was equal. They doubled their numbers overall. They got more signups because now there's a pop-up, but it was still about half and half embedded at the bottom and half at this pop-up, right? So I would do that. We see these all the time. We go shopping, like enter free shipping, get 10% off, and you can put in your email. The ones that annoy me, and I wouldn't personally do, is the ones that ask both for an email and a text, right? I'm like, I'll give you my email. I don't want you to text me. I'm not saying for your business, but I'm not a fan because I have my phone on all the time. And if I'm hearing ding, 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 I want it to be important. So I'll happily give you my email address to get the free shipping or coupon code without asking for both. And then if I don't want it, then I don't get the coupon if I decide I don't want to give you my text. So, personal preference, but again, most people will probably prefer just doing the email versus both. So do whatever works. And it might not work for you. When we didn't offer an incentive on the pop-up for the Lucky Dog Winery, there was you can't really give anything away for free with wineries in California. But people used it and signed up for it. So, right. Maybe it was because there was cute dogs on it. And then you can do lead magnets. Does anybody here already do a lead magnet? And if you do, say yes in the chat and say, what kind of lead magnet do you do? Tell me about if you want to share. and I'll talk about, like, if you don't know what a lead magnet is, let's see. And I see there's a lot, and there's networking going on. All right, everybody's woken up and doing that. We have the African American Heritage Association of Virginia, like the AHAVA, AHAVA, I like that. Very interesting, very cool. Okay. So anybody here, nobody's using lead magnets? Say yes in chat or raise your hand. Everybody's like, what is a lead? No, okay, we don't have any lead. Okay, so lead magnet basically is, we have one. Princess, if you want to share, and Lou, share if you want to share what type of white paper. Tell me about your business, tell us about your business in the chat, and what the lead magnet is, what it's about, and how it's working. Is it getting you work? So please share, like a little testimony on lead magnets. So lead magnet basically is, you give me something, I'm going to give you something in return. So I'm going to give you this customer experience cookbook from Microsoft Dynamics CRM if you share your information on the right. And it's already checked off, sign up for the newsletter. So basically you have something of value to share with them, and they're going to in return give you, I'm going to give you something of value. All right. So this is a way to build your list. So here's an example. I had a client years ago that wrote a financial planning book for women. And he had a bunch of white papers that was stuff that was in the book, but it was related. So he had a white paper on prenuptial agreement. So we did a lead magnet on social media and then sent them over to a landing page on MailChimp, sign up for the email list, and then they were able to download. I think the download was emailed to them to download the PDF file as well. So whatever the lead magnet is, and you can create, let's see, Lou said white paper covers why healthcare needs to screen for exclusions. That's what our system does. It works, but low volume. Okay, I don't know if Princess, did you share? It's okay. Not forcing anybody to share if you don't want to. But that's basically right. You're sharing something educational that is related to your business to kind of help guide them to working with you, perhaps. And I'll answer some of the questions in the Q&A in a minute. So lead magnet examples. So these, and you can use the robot to help you. Like if you don't have lead magnet content, go to ChatGPT or your favorite AI tool and ask for lead magnets. Okay, and you can, and I'll just give you some examples that we've done. This is one of my clients. He's a business mindset coach, appealing to burned out corporate executives on how to have work-life balance. Right, good luck with that. And the employees they manage to prevent employee turnover. Right, so we just came up with this list: 10 proven strategies to overcome burnout and achieve work-life balance. Master work-life balance, a 5-day email course. So there's a bunch of ideas, and you can have ChatGPT write them for you. I would double check them. We're totally rely on the answer, tweak them as you need, but whatever works for your business. Here's a couple more examples. For wine, any wineries in the room? If we have any that followed me in here from my list, wine, raise your hand. No wineries? Usually have one at least. Okay, so wineries, right? They can do the ultimate wine pairing guide, and they maybe want to do some for well-educated wine drinkers versus new. Wine tasting 101, a beginner's guide, wine and dine recipe collection, right? So a lot of different ideas that you can do lead magnets for, right? So whatever works for you. If you have them, someone has myselectvodka.com, all right. Is that right? Miles Select, sorry, I read that wrong. So definitely look at a lead mag. Then you would promote it via social media, right? Say, hey, sign up and you'll get a thing about wine tasting 101, whatever that is. So they can work if you use them on a regular basis as well. Okay, so text marketing versus email marketing or SMS marketing. Why use one? You remember the ROI difference, around $11 versus $40. Anybody here using text marketing? Again, raise your hand or say yes in chat. Anybody successfully or unsuccessfully using it? Okay, I'll let the okay, no, okay, we got no's. So how do you, if you're using them, what would you use them for differently, right? Text marketing is going to be short and sweet stuff, right? A limited product or offer discount. Hey, we're running 10% off today. Hurry up, right? Appointment reminders, right? A lot of my doctors, my dentist, my hair salon, they all send appointment reminders now. They used to call, right, the day before. I don't think that happens. Yeah, no anymore. I don't get any phone calls. Urgent updates or notifications, personal alerts, purchase confirmation. Sometimes I get delivery confirmations. Your order's on its way. It's about to be delivered. Right? So the guy's walking up to your door, he's knocking, and get that bad. Sometimes Amazon's like, he's 3 blocks away. Anticipation. Information that requires two-way communication. Now, I've experienced this really only at hotels. So on both sides of the trip. So I was going to a trip with a girls' weekend away, and I had booked it. So a couple of days before the trip, they're like, "Oh, hey, you're coming on Friday. We're excited about seeing you. Anything we can do before you get here?" So I was able to text them back, "Yes, we need extra robes and pillows and stuff because a bunch of us were sharing a room." And they did. Everything was there. I didn't have to ask at the front desk or track down housekeeping to get all that stuff we wanted done. And then on the back end of another trip, another hotel, as I was getting ready to check out, get a text like, "Hey, getting ready to check out. Do you need anything? Do you need a cart? Do you come down, get your portfolio, whatever?" And so I was able to say, "Yeah, please send a card up," and all that. So in some cases, it could work for two ways. Email marketing is going to be obviously longer form, your newsletters, your promotional emails, educational content, visuals, of course. But interestingly enough, I signed up, trying to think, it was, I started on Facebook. It was a company, women's clothing company. I saw something on their ad that I liked, went in, and I don't think I even added the item. Once I looked at it, I was like, yeah, not really what I wanted. Could have, I don't think I did. I think I just looked at it because I don't remember like even adding it to cart. And I must have signed up for the free shipping or 10% off. And I gave him my text and my email. And of course, I didn't wind up doing anything with it. And I think a day later, I received a text for the first time that had a picture of that item in it. So the first time I'm starting really to see visual text where it tied in. So it could have been browse abandonment. So I had browsed it. I hadn't got, they obviously had my email and they had my phone number. So they were, and I'd never visited the site before. So they were able to, they emailed me, but then they also texted. So I did see a visual on there. So it was kind of unusual to start seeing that. Press releases, right? B2B campaigns, technical information, stuff like that would be more appropriate for email than text. And saying, even with the different ROI, I wouldn't, some people have a success with text marketing, great, but make sure you don't abandon one over the other, right? I would say definitely do email as well as the text, do both. Okay. So creating content, most important, right? You got to create the content. So you do want to promote your products and services, but don't always make it all about sales. Right. Here's my product, here's my service. And you do that like once a quarter. And then you're like, okay, I don't want to bug my customers. Right. Make it about them, make it helpful. Recipes, if you're food and beverage, interviews, FAQs, blogs, right? Case studies, company milestones. Maybe if you have something interesting behind the scenes, like mine would be fairly boring, sitting here typing away and on Zoom, talking to all of you. But if you have some interesting behind the scenes to share, people like that. Weekly tips, perhaps, that you might have, studies or stats for your business. So again, make it helpful and useful for them to help you kind of sell your business without being obviously, here it is, buy it, right? So content, right? Social media, email, blog, marketing is all about building content, okay? So I don't want to scare everybody on this. It's kind of just a visual to get your brain to think about putting your content on a little content journey, right? There is no template or anything for journey mapping. I just wanted to show you kind of visual because we tend to think of things in silos, right? Our content, we're like, oh, I got to do this blog post. Oh, I need to send an email over here. Oh, I better do a social media post and maybe create a video. I want you to think about, this is an example of taking one blog post and turning it into 33 pieces of content. Okay, so not all of you are going to have 33 pieces of content or use all of these platforms, but start thinking of putting your content on a journey. If you're writing a blog, you should be emailing that out. Maybe you take that blog post and you turn it into short video content. Could be one video, or maybe you break it down into multiple parts and you share those videos across your video platforms. You use YouTube and TikTok and Instagram Reels. Then you share social media posts, right? Send out the email as well. So whatever that journey map looks like for you and your business, again, there's no one way to do this. Think of it along the journey, not individual silos of content. As you're writing that blog post, how would you recycle it into different, maybe short videos? So for example, let's say I have a dog brand. We sell pet products and food and treats, and I write an article about the best treats for dogs for seasonal allergies. And maybe there's the top five treats, and I'm talking about those 5 treats or 5 ways to treat dog allergies, which I'm dealing with now with my pugs. And so I break it down into 5 different videos. The blog has the 5 treats, but maybe I create 5 little short videos with each treat, do 5-part series, or put them all in one, right? So kind of think about the content that way. Hopefully that makes sense with content journey mapping. Again, there's no template or anything for it. Oops, sorry. Cute. Jumpy little mouse there. So this applies to social media and email. It's like we have content pillars, and I'll talk about that in a second, but 4 main types of content that we have out there in general that we're going to do, right? For social media and email, blog, right? We're going to have promotional content we're probably really good at. Here's my product, here's my service, here's my product again, here's my service again. All right, got that down. Okay. Inspirational content. It could be success stories, motivational quotes, testimonials behind the scenes. Educational, that covers a lot of things, how-to guides, FAQs, case studies, industry insights, etc. Interactive, quizzes, polls, contests, user-generated Q&A sessions. Again, some might be more social media appropriate than email. So we have these 4 buckets that you generally want to land your content in. And then pillars. And anybody here, raise your hand or say yes in chat. You don't have to say no, just only the yeses. Do you use content pillars? Have you ever created them? Say yes in chat or raise your hand if you have and know what a content pillar is. Okay, we have one. Okay. So basically what content pillars are exactly what it says here. They're the key topics or themes that your brand's content will revolve around, right? They give you that consistency in your messaging. So, and I'm going to show you some examples of content pillars. So basically just think, what are the foundational pillars of content that you can talk about on a weekly basis on your social media, things that you can also email or blog about. So here's some examples, and you can go to ChatGPT again, and you can do this on the free or the paid version. The free version, you're going to have to feed it a lot more information like, okay, I have a marketing business and I help businesses with X, Y, and Z. And this, you'd have to tell it, or where I can go to on the paid version and just say, here's my website URL, go to my site, and based on the content, create some content pillars using the different buckets, the 4 content types, right? So this is a client of mine. He does employee retention, company culture, leadership building skills, things like that. A little different than the other one I showed you on the other example for lead magnets. So it will give you, say, 8, and you can pick the top 4 things that you would have content for on a regular basis. So the testimonials, success stories, he wouldn't have weekly, maybe he has once a month. So that might be kind of a sub pillar. But let's say he picks company culture enhancement, team building, industry insights. And the one he doesn't have on here is promotional. So maybe one's like, here's my service. This is what I do. Here is a winery again, right? So winery can pick, say, maybe when they have wine education, they could do on a weekly basis, promotion, special offer, right? Pairings and recipes, and maybe events and tastings again on a weekly. But sustainability practice might sprinkle in once in a while. There's not a lot of content you can say is a foundational pillar, right? And all of these can be used on email as well, and potentially blog some of these. Write an article about your sustainability practices, right? Or do an article on your pairings and recipes, all right? So again, pick your, say, top 4, and then the other ones you can kind of sprinkle in. It's just to help you create consistency in your social media and your marketing in general to be able to repeat this content. So some more examples, a skincare brand, right? So they would have, maybe skincare routines, skincare education, product spotlights, and maybe community engagement. And then the other ones could be sub pillars. Maybe once in a while have something on sustainability practices, right? Or behind the scenes, right? Not a lot going on there behind the scenes. So hopefully this is making sense. Travel agency, tons of topics they can use. They can plug in every week. Like we're going to do a social media post on destination spotlights, one on local culture and traditions, one on travel deals and promotions for the week, and travel related news and updates. And then the other ones you can kind of sprinkle in as you have content. Okay, hopefully it's making sense. I mean, one more, nonprofits in the room. You probably, whatever your cause is, you probably have the same content pillars, right? You're going to share who or what you're impacting, your volunteer and donor spotlights, of course, events and fundraisers, money, 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 right? And maybe the community engagement. And then once in a while, you'll throw something in on advocacy and activism, right? So again, pick those strong pillars that you have. And on the content calendar, I'm going to show you there, I do have the prompts for ChatGPT on the free and paid one. I'll show that to you in a second here. So you'll see that. And then just real quick to go into the Q&A, does email marketing work with C-level? So if you're emailing the C-suite people, perhaps, yes. I mean, they, depending on where in the C-level they are, it might be the CEO might have an assistant checking emails for them. It might not be sitting there like we are reading our 10,000 emails. So you might go through some gatekeepers with some of the C-suite. Some of the C-suite might check all their own emails, so it could work, as well. And then you might, again, with the gatekeepers going through the direct emails might be a little trickier. So, but it's possible. Can you send the first email without permission? So what I would do in that case because they do have to opt in. And say you have I've had people, they have a list, they got a list from somewhere, they met people at a show or something and gathered a list. What you should do is send out, and this is where you could, if it's small list, send it through your Outlook or your Gmail or whatever email program that you communicate through, and say, hey, I met you at a show, I want to add you to the list. Is that okay? If so, reply back or click this link and you have a landing page to sign up for your list. So in that case, yes, because you're just reaching out and saying, can I add you to the list? Right. And then if they say, don't bug me or don't respond, I wouldn't add them to the list. It's like, say, ask permission, forgiveness instead of permission. You do have to be careful. And I'm going to talk about the spam rules later in a few slides down the road. I'll talk a little bit more about that, especially when it comes to purchasing lists. Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So thank you. Is it Tangela? I hope I'm saying that right. Okay, so we got content pillars. So now I'm going to go a little sideways here and talk LinkedIn. You're like, why is she going over to social media in a LinkedIn class, right? But there's a reason for that. Okay, is anybody in the room on LinkedIn currently doing an article, more importantly, a newsletter? Say yes in chat. Say, yes, I'm doing a newsletter. Yes, yes, yes. I saw a hand raised. Okay, we have one. I think one. All right. One person, is that it? Anybody else doing more importantly, a newsletter? Articles are cool, but more important, a lot of you are like, what is she talking about? What is a newsletter? Now, in the case of LinkedIn, I'm not talking like what you would think as an email newsletter, right? You send out, here are all the things going on in our company on 5 or 6 different topics, totally different. And there's isn't kind of an email tie, kind of like fake emails, I call it. Okay, so what this feature is, for those who are like, I don't know what she's talking about, they have this feature, and I totally get it, because it's not a feature they really, share. So unless you've heard it from me, you might not have heard it, but now you're going to be in the know. So, you can put up social media posts on LinkedIn, probably all familiar with that, and they go out and everybody's news feed that is connected to you or follows your page. Okay, and just to kind of step a little further back into LinkedIn, LinkedIn works like Facebook in the sense that we all start with a profile, right? That's us, like me. See, here's my profile, Patty Ross. And then you can also have a company page that is managed by your profile, just like Facebook, right? Everybody starts as we're all a person, we're all people. So we all start with a profile. Of course, one is more a professional profile versus a personal one. And then we connect with people, right? Or friend them on Facebook, but people connect with people. Okay, now LinkedIn also has the ability just to follow people, rather than connect. I call it kind of stalking in a way. But you can connect. Then you set up a company page and you can have people follow your company page. Where on Facebook, they like your page. I think there's also maybe follow now as well. So it works. We all start out as a person. And then if we set up a company page, it's again managed under your profile. So with the news article and newsletter, everybody, if you're on LinkedIn and you have a profile with at least one connection and a company page with at least one follower, everybody gets to send an article. And basically what these are, they're a blog. Okay, the newsletter is not what you send via email. It's basically a short article blog. Okay. They're different function. They're called a newsletter edition or an article, but they're the same. It's a blog. Okay. Usually single topic, short, something related to your business, education. We come here for industry insights and education. So an article, everybody can do. I'll be like Oprah. All of you can have an article because you only need one connection and one follower. And you can send from either or both. I do both. Okay. Article, you write it, put it in here, and it's just going to pop in the news feed of people who are connected to you, right? Or follow you. Right. So, okay, it's good. It's kind of like your social media post goes in the news feed. And if they happen to be scrolling through their news feed, they're going to see it. What's better is newsletter. Okay. But there are a little criteria. I can't be Oprah here. Only if you're over 150 connections on your profile or 150 followers on your page. So if you're not quite there yet, that's why I say everybody share your LinkedIn profile or company page, get people follow you, get your number up, because where it appears is the most important part. And this is why I'm relating it to this email class today. Okay, function's the same. It's a blog. Here's how you fill it in. You have a picture, you got your title, your body, and it's a blog. Okay, single article, but it's called a newsletter edition. So the newsletter has an overall title, like mine under my profile is called Marketing News Tips and Hacks. And then I do editions. But this is the important part. And this is where it kind of is like having email list is where it shows up. It goes into every time you post an edition to your newsletter, it shows up in your followers connections notifications box and they can subscribe to it. So you see here new from Kalika Yap and Kalika Yap newsletter, The Thief of Joy. So she calls her newsletter just Kalika Yap newsletter. And this particular edition is called The Thief of Joy. Now, if it was the first time she was posting her newsletter, and I already of course follow and connected to Kalika, there'd be a subscribe button right there to the right. And they can hit subscribe for the first time that they're seeing it. And they can subscribe to it. So I call this kind of like the fake email because you're kind of showing up like you're in an email inbox. The first place we're going to go when we log into LinkedIn generally is look for the little red dots. Oh, I've got new notices. I'm going to look through my notifications like you would an email inbox. And you're going to see their content. And they have the chance, just like with email in a sense, lot less notifications than probably what you're getting in email. So the chances are that they, if they subscribe, they're interested in it. They might not read it every single time. I don't think all of my subscribers read it. I can see how many opens it got on there. But this is where I say you're not getting email addresses, but it's kind of acting like it is. Does that make sense? Right? I'd rather show up in people's notification or inbox than just show up on the news feed, because chances are not everybody goes and looks at their LinkedIn news feed at any given time, right? So not as powerful. Okay, so definitely if you are not at a point yet where you have over the 150, like say, for example, most of us have a lot more connections, right? Because we just connect with a lot of people over the years. Send the newsletter for that. If you're at 100 for your page or 10 or whatever the number, still do an article so you have content going out. Once you get over that 150, then you can, I would say, go back and if you want to recycle the articles into a newsletter, so then it now shows up into inboxes or notification boxes, do that. At least you have content going until you get that number and you invite your followers to, invite your connections to follow your page, so get that number up. That's why I said, everybody share their company. If you don't have that number, share it here. Get people to follow you so you can start getting the newsletter and keep inviting people, obviously, that you'd want to, have them connect to your profile and then always invite them over to follow your page as well. But send it, either one that you're over, start doing a newsletter. Again, people can subscribe. You can see here now the number, just as of last night, I was at 1,099. I know it was gone over 1,100 yet, but somebody subscribes. I get over 1,100. So again, now I'm deepening my relationship. Do I have 1,099 email addresses? No. but I'm still getting into 1,099 email or inboxes. And there's every time they see my edition, you can see here, create new edition. And I think I have 11 editions now in 7 months, I think, over time that I've been doing newsletters, 7 or 8 months. I think it's maybe 8 or 9 months now. About one a month I've been doing so far. So every time I'm sending out and publishing my newsletter, that's one of my blogs, articles versus newsletters. Those folks it's going right in their notifications box. So again, kind of like email, right? I expanded it. Now, some of these people might actually be on my actual email list, but that's okay. Maybe they didn't see the email in their full inbox, maybe they just spend the time on LinkedIn seeing this. So when it comes to a blog, every time I do a blog, it first goes up on my website. I then come over to LinkedIn, I do my newsletters. And I do both my profile and my page. I just separate by a couple days. So I'll schedule, say, the profile first because I have more follower or connections. And then say maybe on a Monday, and then on Wednesday or so, I will schedule the one for my page. So this way they hit the notification box separately in case there's some crossover. And you can see here, I just did a little snapshot. This one I only had 853, so I haven't changed that slide. It's first, second, and third connections, right? So my first connections are the ones that I directly have a connection with. Second is we're not directly connected, but we have mutual connections. And then third is nobody is connected to anybody. So most likely, like I share my newsletter link in my email and say, sign up for my LinkedIn newsletter. So they probably just came in and subscribed, but they didn't go bother to follow or connect with me on my profile. And I can do that. I'll go through the list and look for those seconds and thirds. I'm like, hey, if they subscribe to my newsletter, maybe they want to connect with me. Or I can just let them get my newsletter. So again, it's deepening relationship, kind of like you would with email. So definitely use that feature. Okay. Let's see, what if you haven't met people, but you got a list of business? Would you use the same strategy, contacting them and asking to add to the list? Yeah, I would say like if it sounds like it wasn't like a personal thing, like you met at a networking event or something, and then, have that familiar connection. I would still send that same email out saying, hey, I don't know, you mentioned where you got the list, like I have your information. Would you like I have a newsletter or an email list or something about X, Y, and Z. And I'd say, hey, I send out email about my marketing classes and marketing tips. Would you like to receive it? And they can reply back or click on a landing page to go sign up for it as well. So I think that's what you're asking. If not, ask again. So everybody's starting to share their company pages, follow each other there in the chat, so you get those numbers up. Very important feature. Okay. So back to regular scheduled programming here now with email. So my next C, calendar. Take a sip here. Here we go. Okay. I would say this is probably the most important feature, and the calendar relates to obviously your email marketing, social media, blogging, right? Whatever tool you want to use to help you kind of, I say this is probably where most of you get overwhelmed. And I'd say if I have you raise your hand, and probably all hopefully raise your hand, right? We have to get all this content out. We got to create it. We got to plan it. We got to schedule it, right? It's a lot, right? That's why you raise your hand if you feel overwhelmed by that. It's a process, right? To get it all done. It's okay. It can be very overwhelming. But once you start planning ahead, using tools to help you with that, like a calendar, I'm going to share mine, and you can use mine or use whatever one you like. But start planning ahead for all of your content. Get it all organized together, kind of like that journey mapping thing. But now we're going to calendar it all together so you can sync it all up and make sure you cover all your bases. Like, oh, I'm going to send out my blog, I'm going to email it, I'm going to LinkedIn it. It's a new verb. I'm going to send it out via my other social media platforms. I'm going to send an email, right? All coordinated, right? It does take planning, right? It does take time to schedule it all out and do all this stuff. But once you start to get a process in place, we'll start taking some of the overwhelm away. Still a lot of work if you're going to do it yourself. I could take that totally away if you want, but you do it yourself. It still is work, but get the tools and processes in place to help you with that, right? Plan ahead. As I mentioned earlier, if you are fourth quarter holiday driven, here it says plan by the end of August, Valentine's Day by November, Mother's Day by Valentine's Day. This is for the gifting holiday people that are doing that. Plan ahead. Plan your calendar a month ahead minimum. It'll take some time for you to do that, but I'll give you an example. What I do with me and my clients is, where are we? What day is it? August 13th. There we go. I don't even know what date it is. I don't care what's going on because we already have all the social media all scheduled out. Everything's done for me and my clients. So I'm not panicked like, oh my God, it's the 13th. We got to get social media out because we already planned ahead. So typically we are middle of the month. So we're already working on September content. We're about to release it to our clients on the calendar for them to review. So between the 1st and the 15th, we are working on the content for the coming month. We release them the calendar for them to review the content and approve it, edit it, suggest edits. We redo whatever needs to be done. We have them re-review it. Once they mark it as approved, by the end of the month, we're just going through and scheduling out all the social media posts, emails, blogs, etc. And then by the 1st of that next month, we're going to be working on October content. So get a week ahead, 2 weeks ahead, work yourself up to the month ahead. So you're not in that constant panic of like, oh my God, I haven't posted since last Tuesday. What do I post now? Right? You're already done because you already scheduled it all out for the week, and anything spontaneous comes up, go ahead and add it to the mix. But the bulk of your content, plan it ahead. Okay. So just like I said, this is probably where you get overwhelmed, right? And I always break this down in kind of 3 blocks of time and schedule that in your calendar. If you're the one doing all these steps, you don't go, oh, I'll get to that Friday. Like, no, put one, maybe an hour or so in your calendar at the beginning of each month or whatever day you want to do this, and work on the calendar, planning, etc. That's, for each month. The creation time will be the biggest bulk, right? You got to create the graphics, maybe do video content, write your blog, do your emails. That you have to figure out your chunk of time. Maybe you spend an hour each morning, 5 days a week creating content. If you're going to do it yourself, scheduling it, like use a social media scheduler to do that. It'll be faster than trying to go in LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and trying to schedule all over. Make it easy. Got to go into your email platform, schedule your emails, get your blogs up, figure out what that block that time out. And generally for social media, I use a scheduling tool called Metricool. And so I can multi-post to all the platforms at once. And so if I have, say, 20 posts for the month, maybe four posts per week, or whatever it is going to be, generally about an hour and a half for me to go through the scheduling tool and schedule all those out for the month ahead. And that's, copy paste, the captions, the hashtags, any links, and upload the image and schedule it out. But again, put it on your schedule. It'll come because we know we wear all the hats, and that hat will fall off because some other hat will come on top of that, right? So plan ahead, block that time off. And so the calendar itself, the one I'm going to share with you, you'll get it with the recording, the slide. Some of you may have seen it from previous classes. It's a Google Sheets document. I keep it up on a Google Drive, so it's shared, if I'm sharing it with clients or my assistant. So yeah, all working off the same version. Use whatever you want. If you prefer software programs, I always just use this very simple calendar to keep it simple and cost effective for everybody. But whatever works for you. Okay, so you can have different tabs on there. One of them, this will be more for social media, hashtag days. So if you want to use those for social media, Marketing Monday, I use Wellness Wednesday, Foodie Fridays, a ton of them in there. Okay, I'll show you on the calendar how those work. And then this is the content pillars. So there's the 2 prompts. You have one for the paid and the free version for ChatGPT and then you can drop your content pillars here and decide which ones are going to be your strongest foundational pillars, and maybe some will be sub pillars. This will help you for your planning. And then this tab and then one I have for video content are older, previous to the content pillars discussion. Just some additional topic ideas that you might want to throw into the different pillars. They're not broken down by pillars here. And some video content ideas as well. That's from the older calendar. And then each month you're going to have a tab for holidays. These are pulled from nationaldaycalendar.com as well as this year calendar.com. And these will be good for engagement and reach on social media. And you can use them via email. So for example, National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. Now, you might not sell or do anything to do with food, but for social media, it could be an engagement thing. You ask, what was your favorite PB&J combo as a kid? Maybe it's the same. And that's going to elicit responses to help you get that engagement and reach, right? So there might be some directly related to your industry. My transportation logistics client, there is a National Logistics Day. It's June 25th, I think. It's also a National Barcode Day. You to celebrate your barbecues next year around it, right? Some are just for fun. Maybe bring your dog to work day. The Pearl also, she has a pug. She brings the dog to work. Her dispatcher brings a Chihuahua. So there's a picture of the Chihuahua set next to the dispatch desk, fun company culture stuff. For email, so for example, the wine industry, I have that blank column that says wine. There are a bunch of wine holidays like National Chardonnay Day. So if you sell Chardonnay, you can do a social media post and an email like, hey, it's National Chardonnay Day. We're running a 3-pack special on our Chardonnay. Do an email campaign, do a social media campaign on that. So have fun with those, adding those in, okay? And I'll show you how those work. So this is the calendar page. When you get it, it's gonna be blank. I filled this in for demo purposes. You can see here it is color coded. Reddish is holidays, whether that's the kind of traditional or the kind of fun ones. Events that you might be doing in green, email campaigns, orange, baby blue is website blog, darker blue is that I said LinkedIn article or / newsletter. Social media posts, which means it's just an image or a text post, social media stories, and social media video. So whether you do TikToks or Reels or shorts or whatever, just video or Instagram or Facebook stories. So as we're filling this out, you can see we're coordinating all the content. So first thing I usually plug into the calendar is the holidays. So this is for a skincare brand. So New Year's Day and MLK will already be plugged in for everybody. Those are traditional holidays. So for this skincare brand, we're also going to pull in International Self-Care Day and National Hyaluronic Acid Day because we sell hyaluronic acid as a skincare brand. So I'll plug in any holidays. Then I will plug in any events. And we have the only thing we're doing that we want to promote is the Fairfax Farmers Market. I will then plug in any blogs I plan to do for the month. So we're doing one blog on the 9th. Okay, we plug that in. Are we using any hashtag days? So what I would do, like we're using Motivation Monday for not all of them, but most of them, and then Wellness Wednesday. So what I would do for the remaining year, I'll usually do this in January, I'll pick my hashtag days and I will plug them into every single month. Just copy paste them all the way through December, just for placeholders. Now I might decide, well, I'm not going to really use Motivation Monday on January, 8th and 15th and 1st, but I can just plug it in to remind me that it's potential content to use. So I'll plug in the hashtag days and then I'll start filling it in from there. So with social media, going over that first, we're going to first decide what we're going to do for each of the holidays, right? So I'm going to do a social media post for New Year's Day. Now I didn't specifically say like with a second line what. It's just going to be like a graphic Happy New Year's with some fireworks or champagne or whatever, right? But for International Self-Care Day, I'm going to do a social media post so I know to do a graphic and specifically what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 5 tips for fresh winter skin. So now I know I need to pull a graphic together that's showing maybe some winter skin or some skin with the tips, right? So I want to be specific so I know for planning and archive purposes what I'm going to do. Ask a question on the 8th, how many skincare products do you use? So I know I need to plug that onto the graphic. MLK Day, I'm going to pull the I Had a Dream quote for that. Motivation Monday, the 22nd, I'm going to find an Aging Gracefully quote. Change your skincare routine on the 29th. So I'm getting specific, again, for planning purposes and then archive purposes as well, right? So when you look at it next year for January, oh, okay, I already did that. I Had a Dream one. I'll do something different, right? Rather than having to scroll through your Instagram to see like, what did you do last January, right? So for just flipping over to Wellness Wednesday, I'm going to do a social media post and I'm going to do a story. So this way people see the post, they might see the stories are going to disappear in 24 hours unless you save it to highlights on Instagram. So, and it's easy to do via Canva. You can create the post and then resize it to a story. right? And then I specifically put, what is a skincare tip going to be for each day? I do one on vitamin C, on sun protection, on food for skin. I repeated jade rollers there. So getting specific. On Thursdays, I'm going to do a how-to use a product video. And then I specifically put what each video is going to be about. Okay, now for email, work a little bit differently. We kind of figure out what are all the things that we want to email about for the month. And we start plugging those in. So we have the Fairfax Farmers Market. We have the January resolution sale, a blog. There's a contest, win a skincare trio, 1-day contest. And we have the sale on hyaluronic acid. So we work a little backwards when it comes to email, especially like for events and things. So for the event on Saturday the 13th, the last email we're going to do is the day before. So that's what I'm saying, working backwards. What is the last one? The day before is fine. Last chance to come see us at the farmer's market. And then going backwards, we would email out at least once a week for about 4 to 6 weeks, right? Give people enough time to plan ahead. Okay, so we have that planned out. We got that. January resolution sale. It's only for the month of January, easy. The last email is going to be the 31st, and we're going to do once a week going back up to the 2nd of the month. Okay, so easy. We're going to do the one email out for the blog. We're going to put it on social media, and we're going to do, and this is a B2C, so you don't see the LinkedIn here. And then we're going to email it. We have a 1-day contest, so we're going to do a social media post. We are going to do a video, and we're going to email it out. Okay, and then the hyaluronic acid day, we're going to do a social media post, and we're going to do an email for that. Okay. So you see here, it's all kind of planned out, syncing together. Now, if you are B2B, this is a B2B version. It works exactly the same. Color coding is the same. The only difference you'll see here under the blog, we have the website, we have the article, we have the social media posts and the email. So now you know you won't forget if you plug all those in, like, oh, I put it up on the website and a newsletter, but I forgot to do a social post for everything else. Forgot my email. It's all here to remind you. Okay. So again, works exactly the same. Hashtag days. My webinars are my events that I promote out there. So again, plug in the same way, regardless of B2B or B2C. Okay. And then another page, each month you're going to see a page. This is for social media. It's called the post page, but I kind of call it the prep page. So this is where you're going to lay out all of your social media content. Now, I have clients that need to approve it, I mentioned. So this was kind of laid out for that purpose, but you can use it just for, again, your planning. This is a good page to set up to help you with your scheduling. So I just have this open next to my scheduling tool, and I just go down each one and go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, upload image. You can't upload it from here, but upload it and then schedule it out and then go to the next one and just go down the list. And then you have it here for next year for archive purposes. You know exactly what you did. If you have somebody, like maybe you have somebody working for you, you want to approve the content, you can lay it out here, put in your edit comments there. And then once it's marked approved, I can go ahead and publish or schedule or publish it and mark it as published. Okay, so this is where you lay everything out. Okay, this is for social media. For blog content, if you're doing blogs, I don't have one per month. It's all just a running list of all of your blog topics. What we do, why it says Google Drive link, I put the blogs when I create them for clients on a Google Docs and put it up in the Drive. So I say, hey, go check out the blog. Do you have any edits? Sometimes I say, please put a personal quote in there or some anecdote or whatever. So we're both editing the same version. Once I publish it, then there's a link at the far right. You can put the website link to it. The images we're going to use on it. On here as well. So whoever you want to use it for your purposes, or just keep a running list of all your topics here. And then for email, there's also a page, just a running list of emails where you can lay out your topics. So remember, from the calendar, we're doing a January resolution sale. We're also going to promote the Fairfax Farmers Market on January 2nd. Here are the links we're going to include. Here are the images we created to go in the email, the subject line and preview line and all that. So once that's approved, you can go ahead and put it in MailChimp or whatever and lay it all out. But again, this is kind of for planning purposes here. And, you know, for me, for approval purposes in some cases. Okay, so that's the email page. So that's the calendar. So you're all going to get to download it. If you like it, use it. It's a little bit more manual, but once you start using it, you'll, should be easier. If you want to fix it, I have some clients who do their own color coding and change things around. Wherever your brain is wired and want to change it works is fine, right? If you don't like it, that's okay too. But this, again, it helps you coordinate your email and your social media efforts, right? So most importantly. Okay, hopefully the calendar is clear. Does it sound like anybody's going to use it? Raise your hand. You like it so far? At least how it looks? Can be useful? Perfect. All right. I've been doing that. It's been improved over the years. It used to be a Word document calendar that I would print out because I would go to my clients because we would plan out the coming year before December. I would meet with them October, November, the new calendar, and we'd go over like, what do we need to do for next year? What do we already know? So my new calendar, if you stay on my email list, get on my list and stay on it. This year will be, it's usually October that I'll have the 2025 calendar out. So make sure you get on my list. Everybody gets the calendar sent to them as well. So, okay, I'm glad you like it. Looks great. Do you have a template of the spreadsheet? Yes, that's the content calendar that you will get. The 2024 version you'll get to if you stay on my list. Again, you'll get the 2025 in October. Okay. So let's talk subject lines. So we only have, again, seconds to capture people's attention and imagination. So the most important thing is the subject line. Most 50% of email recipients open it based on that subject line alone. So it shouldn't suck, right? We want to make sure that we're capturing their attention. There are different things that you can do, right? So you can be informational, big news, store opening soon. I'm short and sweet. Hello, checking in. They might like, okay, that sounds like somebody I know. Personal, thanks for joining us, Joe. Great to meet you at Dreamforce last week, right? Clever and catchy. Keep those buns warm. Rockstar treatment for lullaby singers. Ask a question. What's next for cloud computing? How safe are your family jewels? It can mean a couple things, right? The how-to, how to grow your email list, how to remove stains. People love lists. 10 pieces to add to your wardrobe. 5 must-have metrics for HR. Urgent, 2 days left. Don't miss these great deals. Scarce, 10 tickets left. Limited time offer from Rip Curl. Some more. Local, hey, it's hot in Houston, this week's events. Command, subscribe, join, stop wasting your money. Trendy topics, latest features, the coolest apps. Controversial, why your sales team sucks, right? Sneak peek, exclusive look, right? A lot of things. Fear of missing out, right? Uh-oh, prescription's expiring. You're missing out on points. Funny, licking your phone never tasted so good. I don't know if I want to know that, but kind of clever. Yes, I'm pregnant. You can stop staring at my belly now. Curiosity, don't open this email. Is this the hottest career in marketing, right? What they eat in prison? Does anybody want to know the answer to that one? I don't know. I don't think I want to know. Hope I never have to find that out. No criminal activity here. Vanity, don't wear last year's style. Your butt will look great in these workout pants. Greed, right? 25% off your favorites. 2 for 2. Sloth, right? Steal these email templates. Lazy. 212 blog post ideas, right? So we covered all of those. Sloth, envy, greed, FOMO, right? Some more pain points. Feed your guests without breaking the bank. Get more kitchen space with these easy fixes. Retargeting, hey, forgot something in your cart. You know, Mary, your Enviro account is on hold. Mary, personal, Mary, check out these handpicked looks. Happy birthday, Mary, surprise inside. Okay. Can do straightforward. Hey, from Barack, I mean, if it said Barack Obama, he can get away with hey, or Al Franken. Yes, this is a fundraising email. Boring can work. Sales and marketing newsletter February 2006. So yeah, I wouldn't make them all boring, but you know, straightforward for sure. They're used to seeing your newsletter. So I'm going to give you this little case study of subject lines. And this is a client that I worked with. She's no longer a client, but I'll share the story at the end. There's a good reason she's no longer a client. So I worked with Jen a couple of years ago. First met her. She's one of my coaching clients, and she sells collagen creamer. Right. So a lot of people take collagen for health reasons. Her particular collagen creamer is not just the plain collagen powder. And we take it for health reasons. We lose collagen as we age, right? For healthy skin and hair and nails. A lot of good stuff for collagen. Anybody can take collagen. I mean, I don't know if kids really have to take it, but you know, anybody can take it. Any age pretty much can use collagen. But her creamer, a little special, she added MCT oil, which says it helps give better focus and energy. Cocoa in it, so that helps increase blood flow to the brain, helping brain functionality. Prebiotic fiber for gut health. So in general, some of these issues might be more important. So when I met her, she was all over the place with her audience. I said, well, who's your ideal target? Oh, well, any women, 20 to death, like above. I'm like, okay, true, but should you focus this a little bit more? So the first thing before we went to her emails, I had what I call wrestle the alligator with her and say, that's what I call when I'm working on buyer personas with all of you. If you had, or I used to call it a therapy session. Now I think I like the visual of wrestling the alligator. It's like, no, I don't want to cut anybody out. I'm like, yeah, I can sell it to 20, 30 and under. But as I really looked at the benefits, other than just the collagen benefits, I said, your target audience should really be older women, in particular menopause. Because as we hit menopause and we age, a lot of the things that all of these different ingredients help with really affect women in that age range. And she's like, yeah, well, not really sure. She was still holding on to the alligator, but at the time, I still do. I have another client. She throws a menopause conference every year here in Los Angeles. And I'm like, Jen, you need to go be a vendor of that menopause conference. And she did. And she sold out of all of her products. She started focusing her emails for that audience. Where before I said, when you're trying to target everybody, you're probably targeting nobody. Right? How do you do messaging on all of these benefits to fit somebody who doesn't have these particular issues at that age? And preventatively, like if we remember that age, like we were invincible. We're nothing, oh, we're going to get old and fall apart later. We'll deal with that later, right? Maybe sometimes we're preventative, but generally we kind of wait until we start seeing lines and wrinkles and sagging and bagging before we do something. So now Jen is able to focus her marketing. She was doing emails regularly, like, yeah, here's my product, here's my product, here's my product, but really not really targeting anybody with it. So here's a series of emails she did. This is going back to late 2022, 23, when I was working with her. So bye brain fog, hot cocoa recipe. Again, that's definitely an issue. Menopause, you start getting brain fog. Okay, on to the next, maybe. There we go. Leave brain fog, cravings, and low energy in 2022. Again, targeting that market. Like Starbucks chai, try this healthy swap. It does taste like Starbucks chai, by the way, the creamer. Get that healthy glow, 70% off our bestseller. Again, skin issues. One simple hack to reduce fine lines and wrinkles, or sorry, fine lines and hydrate skin. Now, do young 20-something-year-old have fine lines? And maybe at some point we tend to get those as we age. So again, that targeting wouldn't have worked for somebody in their 20s, right? Maybe hydrate their skin. Want 18% fewer wrinkles and fine lines? Yeah, older audience, right? Here, our best deal of 2023, complimentary collagen. Let's throw in some sales, right? Anxiety, the hidden cause and what to do. Now, anybody has anxiety, but this group does have that as well. It's a whole plethora of things as you go into menopause. One second, move that Zoom bar. Only 5 tubs left and a running lady emoji. Scarcity. She might have had more than 5 tubs at that time, but kind of false scarcity, maybe. I think she did. Here, share your feedback for a free gift. People like free. We've never done this before. What have you never done, Jen? Curiosity, right? She paid attention in my email class. Because we adore you. Little heart emojis. Want to sleep like a baby tonight. Insomnia, definitely a problem in menopause, right? So she's really, yes, other people have insomnia and have some of these issues, but she's really honing in on that audience that is experiencing all of those issues that her product can solve. Here's a little Valentine's Day gift for you. Top 5 causes of hair loss in women. Definitely another issue in that target group. Glowing skin workshop, right? Top 8, home remedies for hair loss. Again, list and hitting the target audience with a problem that they have, right? So, well, I mentioned that I'm happy she's no longer my client, because after she started really targeting, honing her audience and doing more business, she sold the company. So she's now doing something else. So again, before she was kind of all over the place, but not really targeting, and she was able to target and improve and sell the business. So very happy for Miss Jen. Next one, clean. kind of the boring one, but necessary, not the sexy part of email marketing. So when you send out an email through your email platform, you're going to get bounces, right? And there's different reasons. There's soft bounces and hard bounces. Check for obvious typos, right? They all come back and you'll see your list of type of bounces. So some might be Gmail just spelled it wrong. You have an extra dot in the .com. Look for ones again that are obvious, clean them, because again, $40 ROI, they're valuable, right? You want to clean those. Some might just be the email address is no longer valid. You know, you can't, there's no way to clean it. You just have to drop them off the list. Soft bounce is like a vacation auto reply. Mailbox is full, could be is a soft bounce, but you know, I used to keep mailbox fulls on my list. I decided, you know what, if their mailbox is full, even if they clean it out, it's going to be full again. What are the chances? I mean, it is dead weight at that point. So I tend to clean those off the list pretty quickly. So you want to clean your bounces, keep your list fresh. You know, you want the dead weight on there because that will lower your open rates to have the dead. You can look at inactive emails now. Each email platform, how they handle this. Like I know MailChimp has like a star system. So if you have a 5-star with them, that means you open all the emails. Generally, you click on emails. A 1-star would be person never opens, never clicks on anything, least engaged. Constant contact, they give you actually like the least engaged, most engaged. And I can go open each one. I can go to, you know, say Jessica Harrison there is on my list. And I'm like, let me see what Jessica's doing on my list. I can go pop into her contact and I can see, yeah, she's not reading any of my emails. She opened one once, you know, so I can get a little history of like, you know, is she doing anything with me? And do I want to keep her on my list or not? You know, so you have to kind of decide if you can you re-engage them in any way? Do you decide, well, you know, is there anything I can do to change something up to get them to engage? Or are they just not interested or they're not looking at their emails to even bother? So here's an example of when you should look under the hood and see what's going on. So Eldon Selections hired me. This was back 2017, 18. And their problem, they came to me like they have a small list. It's an older demographic. So they're literally aging out of the market and dying off literally. And they wanted to build their list because they want people to purchase. But one thing they never did before I got there was look under the hood and see, well, why did some people stop purchasing at some point? You know, the guy was prolific with emails. What they did is they imported wine from Burgundy, 250 SKUs from 30 different wine producers there. So they had a lot of inventory. So he was doing like weekly specials all the time, you know, 30, 40% off a case of wine, but we're talking $500 plus a special, even at the discount, $700, $900, $1,100, whatever the special came out to be. And you get orders, people were purchasing. But when I went and looked under the hood and I saw there were a bunch of people who had stopped ordering a few years previous and their average order value was only 300 at tops. So they basically stopped talking to some of these people a few years previous to me coming in there, and they never bothered to look and say, well, if you're only going to give them deals that are like $700, $900, $1,200, and their comfort level was only at 300, why would they order? Because now they're not getting any deals. So I went back, I go, well, let's do some deals. Let's see if we can reactivate. And did some half of the 300. And guess what? We raised the dead, not the literal dead. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. But people who hadn't purchased for a couple years came back because now you're talking to them again. You're talking their price. So, you know, we could spend a lot of money and energy to go and find new customers, and we did. They ran a contest and went a trip to Burgundy and all that, built a list, but all the people had been purchasing for years. Now think about this. Since it's not our money, we can venture into this discussion. Go back to that ROI. Go back 2 years. And if I don't remember how many customers, let's just say 10, we'll keep it easy. And they always purchased, we'll just say $300 was, their company. So going back 2 years, and let's just say they purchase, because you drink wine, maybe they purchase 3 times a year. We'll just round it up to 1,000, 300 time order. We'll just round it up to 1,000. Make this exercise easy. and it's 10 customers who are ordering $1,000 a year, $10,000 times 2 years, 20,000. Now, if you add more than the 10, 20 customers, whatever. So they were losing at minimum $10 to $20,000, for charity, $10,000 plus a year because they stopped talking to these people. So think about that lost opportunity cost of like giving up on these customers, not looking under the hood and going, oh yeah, looks like their average order. Maybe we should do a specials at 300 or lower, right? Look at all that money that was lost there. So yeah. And if I didn't look, they would have still been ignoring it, right? Still trying to build a list and get new people. There's some that just stopped buying. Also, too, what if people were just like white wine, but you're giving them mixed case wine, you didn't let them substitute? So really understanding, like, someone might not, if they only buy white, they might not want red, or vice versa. So really segmenting your list to understand what are the purchasing patterns for people. If you can look in that and see, well, if they only purchase 300, stop sending them deals for 1,000. So this is the part of the spam discussion we had about purchasing lists and spam and all that stuff. So the next slide will be a little bit scary. Don't panic, just for your information later. Okay. I want you to share this with your IT people or web person or whatever. They should understand this. How to not end up in spam folders. Now, chances are you're still going to end up in some spam folders, but there's things that you can do to help with that. I personally do not recommend buying lists. You think, yes, that's a way to quickly, build a list up. There are lists out there. I'm not going to talk about who has lists. Go look it up. If you insist on buying lists, you have to go do the research yourself. I've known people who purchase lists. They'll tell you they're clean. They're not. So a couple things you have to be mindful of if you decide to buy the list and you decide to go into MailChimp or Constant Contact, any of the email platforms, you have to be careful with. If you buy a list, first thing you should do is clean it. Don't run it through MailChimp or Constant, whichever email platform, and use them as their cleaner. They will hate on you and knock you off their list if you have a high bounce rate. Do not trust any of those companies that tell you it's clean. I just talked to a gentleman, not a customer. He attended a class and he scheduled a strategy session with me. He's written some children's books, and he hired some company, and they had a list, and they sent out the email for him through the list. And he bought like 6,000 emails, 10%, almost just slightly under 10% bounced. This is a company, this is their list. So he already had a dirty list. They sent it through his MailChimp account. And I told him, I said, if you had 75 plus more bounces and it hit just over 10%, MailChimp could have blacklisted you off your list. I actually wrote him an angry letter to send to this company. I go, you owe me a refund, in his voice, of course. You owe me a refund for a 10% bounce rate. And the email they sent sucked. He had a 2% open rate, not 20, 2% open rate. It's horrible email. But he didn't know. He didn't know any better. It was this bad email, didn't say very much about it. It was like sending out a survey, like, hey, fill out this survey about children's books or something. Like, people don't respond to surveys. Who are you? They don't know you. And you're like, if they know you, it's only 10% are going to respond to a survey. So he's still waiting. I just heard from him last night, still waiting on the support ticket to go through. But be careful. Don't, again, use a list cleaning company like ZeroBounce.net, or if you just have your own list and you haven't used it for a while, it could go stale. Again, you don't want to use the list cleaner, because if you go over the 10%, they'll bounce you off of their system. The other issue that could happen, if you buy a list of people who did not opt in, they don't know you, they can unsubscribe. And one of the things that they can check off is, I never signed up for this. If you have over 10% of I never signed up for this, they will also blacklist you. They're like, where did you get this? Why are all these people saying I never signed up for it? And why are all these people bouncing? How old is this list? So you do not want to run those through an existing email platform and have them clean it or see that you have 10%. I have about 1% on both of those, right? So they will scrutinize you if you bring in a new big list right away. Like, where'd this come from? They did that. Constant Contact did that to me. I was bringing over a list, I think, of 10,000 from another platform. It's clean. It was clean. And they called me. They wouldn't allow me to bring on. Let me just talk to you. Where'd you get this list from? What is this list? And they go, well, looking at your history, you have less than 1% bounce and 1% unsubscribe, and not high on the I never signed up for it. So they're right to scrutinize me dropping in another 10,000 or whatever that number was that I got. But I knew it had already been cleaned through another Constant Contact. It was up to date. I could have been anybody with like, I just bought this 10,000 list. They wouldn't have let me do it if I said I bought the list from somewhere. And I wouldn't have lied. I said I knew where the source was, but they scrutinize you because they want to be careful. That affects their sender reputation as well. So be very careful if you are going to purchase lists. I'm just going to go la 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 la. Don't tell me about it. You could do a double opt-in, but you have to be mindful. Like sometimes in the double opt-in, it goes into the spam folder and they don't see the double opt-in. So you can turn that on and off, at least opt in once. Authenticate your email, this crazy ABC of stuff, SPF, DKIM, DMARC. The email platforms require this authentication of your domain now. So Constant Contact, they said, okay, you have to authenticate. I got to prove I'm the one who owns goldenstatemarketing.net, right? Because I have access to the domain host, GoDaddy. I can go log in, let them log in and see I have access to it. I can't do that with a Gmail. I have Golden State Marketing at Gmail. I can spoof any one of you, right? I can take your business name and make a Gmail account out of it and then spoof your email. That's why now they're requiring this authentication, because I can't spoof a domain email. I can't authenticate it in any way like you can yourself. So that's why one of the reasons I said you should be using a domain email address. They're requiring that now, especially with some Gmail and Yahoo changes earlier this year. So you can only authenticate a domain email. You can't authenticate a freemium account because you can't prove it's really you. That, I guess, is the best way to say it. So it's really easy to authenticate. Like, it looks more complicated. It was more complicated before to do this, but all the email platforms make it easy for you to click an authenticate button and have things talk to each other, and then it's done. So, okay. So regularly clean up your list. Oops, sorry about that. Go backwards. There we go. Clean up your list, check the less engaged emails. You might want to drop them off at a certain point, keep your open rates high, check for spammy keywords. I'm going to talk about that next. And then Yahoo and Google have this update in February of this year. Large senders, and I've kind of noticed this even with smaller senders, if you send more than 5,000 Gmail or Yahoo emails on a single day, you could fall under this. I do. I have a big list, so I would fall under this. So you do have to have it authenticated. I just had to go through this process with Constant Contact, so I'm approved to send my domain emails through Constant Contact, which is the only ones I ever used. You have to have a one-click unsubscribe link in your email. That's why not using your Outlook and all that, because you don't have a one-click unsubscribe. So unfortunately, because of true spammers out there, we all kind of can't have nice things, right? We fall under the let's trap the big spammers net, unfortunately. So we have to play by the rules, even as smaller. So even if you're not sending 5,000 plus emails, they're still tightening the noose, so to speak, all around. So make sure that you are using a platform and you're following all these rules, even on the smaller ones. Okay. And the spam rate says will need to be under a certain threshold. So again, another reason to be careful about purchasing lists, right? And then I mentioned the cleaning services. Zerobounce.net is one I use, and it's pennies on the dollar. Like, I did a list for 3,500 names. I think it was like $20. I did one 500,000 names. That was about $1,000. That was for the city of LA. Half of it bounced. So it was dirty. So if we would have run it through SendGrid, they would have not been happy to have 500,000. We knew 500,000 were going to bounce anyways. But $250,000. So 250,000 bounced. So list depend is if you have an old list and if you have other information. So say, for example, I'm on your list, you have my email, but at some point I gave you my address, my phone number, some other piece you can match me. It will go out there and try to append. Like, okay, Patty no longer uses that Gmail, but I see a Yahoo address under that same address or phone number. And you just have to be careful because it might find, say, a spouse, my husband Joe is at that same address, and Joe doesn't want to receive my emails, from my companies that I subscribe to. So you have to be careful with the pens as well, but definitely do the clean with an old list. And then spam, right? So I said most email platforms don't have a spam checker, but this is a free tool. Here's where you don't have to spend the money. It's called mail-tester.com. And what you do is from your email platform, let's just say MailChimp, you can send yourself a test email. So what you want to do is open this up, grab this email address it generates for you, keep it open, go to MailChimp, send a test email to that address. Once you hit send, come back to the browser with this and then check your score. And then it's going to give you a score and tell you what's wrong. So I got a 5.2 out of 10. This particular client had not been fully authenticated yet. So we just a matter of doing the handshake between the domain and MailChimp. And then that eliminated the -3. There were some spam assassin things, maybe some keywords, spammy keywords in it. I forgot what it was. The broken link, it found like a broken Twitter link, but he didn't even have Twitter. So it was a ghost in the machine. And you can come back, I think, up to 3 times for the same email and retest it to see if you improved it at all. You're not blacklisted. You're not like black hat, white hat. It was safe and well formatted. So they'll check all those things that could potentially cause it. Still could go into spam, Gmail, AOL, they're pretty tight with spammy content. So, but eliminating all these technical things that could cause a problem as well. How do I authenticate my Yahoo and Gmail? You can't. So that's what I was just explaining. Yahoo and Gmail, if you're using like, john@gmail.com or Golden State Marketing at Gmail, you can't, because you can't prove it's you, right? Now I can prove it's me because I have access to my at goldenstatemarketing.net. So my Patty at goldenstatemarketing.net, I can fully authenticate that because I own that domain. I can go access GoDaddy, log into it and show, yes, I have access to it. You can't do that with Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, AOL, etc. So there's no way to really authenticate it, right? I can pretend I'm you, Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous, if I knew your name, right? So that's it's easy to spoof. You don't want anybody spoofing your business and wreaking you havoc with that. So you really do pay for the domain, and it's more professional to go there than go into your Gmail or your Yahoo or AOL or whatever. It's one place you want to spend that $5 a month, right? What about an email with your domain name, but powered by Google Workspace? I have a paid Google Workspace sub, professional with my domain. I know, yeah, you can connect it as long as the reply, in some cases, like you have it run through, you're connected to your Gmail. I did this years ago, but I realized it would respond from my Gmail rather than from that domain. So as long as the receiving from and to is still your domain, sure. If Google Workspace allows, I'm not familiar with Google Workspace. I haven't used it, but as long as it's not through the Gmail account, but your actual domain email, that should be okay, right? It's just, to me, more professional than the authentication, and that you're running your emails through that platform anyways, rather than through your Workspace or Yahoo, etc. So yeah, that helps. Let's see, we're probably it's 11 o'clock straight up. If you have to go, probably have another 10 minutes. I'm going to cover automations and then I think we're done. So if you want to hang out for a few extra minutes, I'm going to go over. So before you send, of course, check, right? Check everything, copy, check all your hyperlinks, make sure you have all your social media follows and all that on there. Subject line looks good, your preview line, check for spam, do the spam check program. Again, check everything before you send that out again. Click on everything. Real quick on the A/B testing, then we'll talk automation. So A/B testing or split testing is basically just trying 2 different things, seeing one works better, and then sticking with the better one, right? So some options, like we talked about the emojis, like subject line tends to be one that's real strong on A/B. Try one that's like, hey, free tickets, or the lobster tickets selling quickly, or hey, we have tickets. Try one with a discount or one with free shipping. Whatever the 2 things you want, one with emojis, one without. Is it better to use your name or your company? Now, this came up with a client of mine. You might want to use both, as a matter of fact. If they know your company name, send it under your company. I had a client that she had a friend sign up for her list. and she has a business name. And he didn't know the business name. He knew her name, but it came from her business name. And he had unsubscribed. So of course she got offended and called him, John, why did you unsubscribe? Oh, I didn't know it was you. So he quickly deleted it. If he would have opened it, he would have seen her smiling face in the picture that she has on there, but he didn't. So we changed it to be from her at the company name in the from line. And I do that. I put Patty at Golden State, or Patty Ross at Golden State Marketing on the from line. So they see both. So if they know your name, it might come from you. So you might want to test that out and see if that makes a difference. Maybe the time of day. Generally, you can try different times of day or days of the week, but it wouldn't really be a split test, for example. Maybe send one email to everybody on a Monday and then send the next one on a Friday and see if that makes any difference. So do emojis work? Right. So generally the subject line is a really good one to test against because you can see the different factors that people might convince them to open it or not. Right. And then just being consistent. So when it comes down to how frequently you should send email, this is very important. I get this question all the time. Oh, should I send too much? I don't want to annoy them. So we have to look at different human behaviors. So if you think about, I always use the example of Christmas shoppers, right? We have some people who are very special who Christmas shop in July. Maybe you're done if you're one of those because it's August. You're done early. You don't have to think about it for the next 3 or 4 months, right? There's the early birds. Okay, then we have the ones, the Pelotons in the middle. They're like, okay, it's Black Friday, Thanksgiving, we have a month. Let's go. And then you have those of us who are like, oh, it's December 24th. We still have plenty of time. Anybody December 24th Christmas shoppers? Raise your hand. I'm raising mine. Right? We get the gift cards. But we tend to, and none of them are right or wrong. We're all very special, right? Some people run their lives where they're totally early birds. Some of us are like, we're going to plan at the last minute. So you have to work with those human behaviors when it comes to emails. You might send out an email maybe for an event like a month before, 2 months before, and you catch the early birds. But the other ones, it's like, I don't do things that early. They kind of ignore it until it's like, oh, this morning, great, I'll attend that class or come to that event. Maybe hit the ones in the middle a week before, a few days before. So work with those because we have full inboxes, right? We have a lot of things going on. We might not see that one quarterly email that you send out to us, and you've missed an opportunity until the next one, right? So an example for SCORE Los Angeles, so I'm on the marketing and workshop committee this couple of years. This is prior to COVID. It was late 2019. So that changed things too on their patterns. So their email plan for their list was sending out an email the first of every month of what was mostly coming up, and then one email once a week. So when I looked at it, I go, wait a second. So what if somebody was teaching a class on the 7th? So they had one opportunity for them to see that they're on the 1st of the month. There's a class coming up on the 7th, but the next email I sent out was a week later, so the 8th. So I really only had one opportunity if I was teaching that class on the 7th for you to see my class. Maybe I missed that email on the 1st. So then you totally missed my class, and they were teaching all the time. So I changed it to go, okay, we're going to send an email out every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with all the upcoming classes, and generally like 3 or 4, and then go see the rest here. Right. And then COVID hits. That was when we were doing in-person classes. So people still needed time to plan and get in traffic in LA and all that. COVID hits, everything turns to webinars. And all of us are sitting at home with nothing to do. And we're like, I can attend a webinar tomorrow at 1 o'clock today or in an hour. So we changed it to also include same day emails. And if you get my emails, I do the same thing, right? So I'm like, okay, we have every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then if there's a marketing class or a webinar, whatever, for anybody on SCORE, on a Tuesday, I was like, oh, this morning at 10 a.m., maybe a couple hours before there's a class. So we would see people coming in at the last minute and registering. Now, did they miss all the other emails? I get people who email me back and say, yeah, they get the last minute one, the one for the class is coming up today in 2 hours. They're like, could you send emails, earlier than the same day to remind me so I have time to plan? And as I do a quick head double take, I'm like, did you miss all the 10 other ones I sent out, weeks ago, days ago to say, hey, it's coming up, it's coming up? Maybe he's a Christmas shopper in December 24th guy. Did all the other ones go to spam and that one happened to show up in his inbox? Like, what was it that he only saw that one? That's why I'm saying if you're only sending the one, you might not be catching those people with the different behaviors, or they just missed it in the inbox, right? So you got to be more frequent, work with those human behaviors, send out an announcement, then a reminder, and then a final, at least 3 or whatever that pattern is. And if people unsubscribe, and they will, now I cry over each one. If you unsubscribe from your list, I'm going to shed a tear because I'm like, oh, they don't love me. Why don't they love me? Why don't they want my email? But I'm like, you know what? They just are not interested in what I have. They don't want marketing help. They don't want marketing classes. Okay. I'm upset I sent too many emails. That's okay. They're not your brand ambassadors. They're not interested in your service. So, like I said, I'll shed a tear for a second and take it personal. Then I'm like, okay, fine. Next, right? So again, be more frequent than you think. And then definitely very consistent. Maybe you are holiday driven and everybody ramps up at the end of the year, but unless you don't need money the rest of the year, be consistent because your competitors might be, right? When should you send them? Best day, time, and day. Generally, and this has been kind of the pattern for many years. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are your 9 to noonish are your top times to send. But test that out. Maybe your list responds better on a Friday or over the weekends, not so much. But interestingly enough, I sent an email out. I don't usually send emails on the weekend, but just Sunday, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send this out on Sunday. And I think it was for some of my classes. I'm going to, instead of waiting till Monday, I'm going to shoot it out there and see what happens. I actually got a much higher click rates than normal. Open rates are about the same, but the click rates like doubled. I was like, I'm going to try it again on a Sunday and see what happens. I was an anomaly or a lot of people home on Sunday and clicking on my email, but according to patterns, that shouldn't have happened. Right. So, but these typically that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are going to be your highest days, 9 a.m. to noonish or so. Try it later. Maybe the Sunday would work like it did for me. Who knows? But test it. No harm in testing it out. Right. And then finally, it might be a few extra minutes, email automation. So as I talked about this earlier, there are different types of automations. These are from MailChimp, but they're pretty standard automations. Welcome emails, new welcome series, abandoned carts, or browse abandoned birthdays. If you collect that information, people love getting a little birthday message on their birthday. Getting feedback, rewarding VIP. Some of these are attached obviously to a shopping cart. Cross-selling, promotion, personalized promotions for abandoned carts, things like that. So whatever you can do for your business as far as annual events, maybe Eventbrite, ticket kind of things as well, a lot of different things. A basic one, I know Constant Contact has this as well, and this was kind of the original automation with MailChimp. I send out an email, a couple days later, I just send one out to everybody who didn't open the first one. I can just check a box on Constant Contact and go, yeah, send it out 2 days later to the same list and anybody who didn't open the first one. Sometimes you can change it to the people who didn't click on something, but this is basic. A more sophisticated one is called if this then that automations. So these are from ActiveCampaign. MailChimp has this as well. So basically if this then that means you can split it into different actions, right? We send the welcome, wait a few days. We send a blog article, wait a few more days. Did they click on it? If yes, if this, we send an invitation to webinar. If no, we send a download for the latest ebook and then we stop. Abandoned cart could be a little bit more involved, depending on what they do. Yes or no. Did they buy the ticket or purchase the tickets for the event? Yes, we'll send them a souvenir coupon email. Wait a few days. Did they open the coupon? They use it? Yes, we'll keep selling to them. Benefits of a season pass. Alert the sales team to follow up with them. If no, little bit, send them another email and then maybe give up after a certain point. Maybe the sales team will reach out. And then even more fun and interesting one is what's called multi-channel or omni-channel automation. So now we're involving different types of channels for this particular automation. We're going to send an email. Did they RSVP? If yes, we're going to download the list, send a postcard, see you there. Then we're going to sign it as an attendee. Then we're going to text them and a reminder. On the no side, maybe we send the lead to the account manager to follow up. Didn't work? Let's go back to email. And then maybe we'll do a retargeting social media campaign. Whatever the omni channels you want to use in multiple channels. Maybe you don't send a postcard. That'll be a little costly with cost of postage these days. Maybe you're involved the sales team, or you do some retargeting ads, etc. So whatever works for you in the automation, there's possibility in that, right? Or just keep it all as email. Here's MailChimp finally had added that back in late 2020, I think it was. They finally added if this, then that customer journey mapping here, so you can split it basically based on if they purchase something or not. So it's pretty basic here. So to wrap up finally, thanks for hanging out a few extra minutes here. Don't forget to segment if you can, automate, test. Be consistent throughout the entire year. Use LinkedIn newsletter. Didn't add that here. Go to LinkedIn newsletter if you are B2B, and that makes sense. Get the fake email newsletter list, right? Track your results. Make sure it's working, and never give up. Don't try different things. Be consistent all year. You never know what's going to lift people to purchase, and it does work. That ROI definitely stands, right? Are you all convinced? Yes, say amen, hallelujah. Ever anything in the chat? Raise hands. Everybody still awake? Yes. All right. Everybody going to start emailing, getting their list active? All right. Okay. I want to see more emails. So to finish up, finally, evaluate your email marketing efforts. Do you have room for improvement? Do you have the capacity to make sure you're getting it all done? Are you going to be ready for the holidays, right? If you are holiday driven, right? And do you need a plan in place? So you are welcome to tap into my expertise. On the left QR code, I do have a LinkedIn group called the Marketing Lab. It's kind of set up for you to come in there, ask questions, follow up from today, collaborate. You all are welcome to join and shamelessly plug yourself. There are no spam rules in there because it's marketing. Come in there, introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do, share your links. I don't care what you share there. Nothing personal. I mean, don't put anything illegal or personal in there, but join the group, ask questions there. I hang out there all the time, or schedule a strategy session with me. You're all welcome to link up with me, put something on my calendar, and I can help you with your email marketing strategy or anything that you need help with. Answer any questions that you have that are not answered here. So I think I'm going to end it here. I don't see any new questions, and I don't see anything in the chat that I need to address. The chat file will be saved, so you'll connect to all the links and everything there after the class. And I will leave it there. So just give you another second to scan, and that will be included. The links will be included with the assets as well. So you'll see that again. So thank you everyone for sticking out an extra 15 minutes for today. I hope you start using your email, start collecting, and take advantage of that return on investment, right? Yes. Hallelujah, right? All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day, and email away, everyone. We'll see you in the marketing lab. Take care.